Welcome to Before an Audience, tips and tricks to reading your writing in public. My name is Maureen, and I'm going to host you through this 10-part series, which is designed to give you the tools that you need to take your writing from the page to the stage. I'm an actor, director, writer, and educator, all in the theater for over 40 years. And most recently, I am a founding member of a Readers Theater company where we read to the audience on a regular basis. So if you're an author and you have decided to include reading to an audience as a part of your marketing plan, which is, by the way, a good idea, then this 10-part series should give you the tools to help you manage that. Or, if nothing else, will give you some confidence so that you'll be able to do that a little more comfortably. In this series, I'm going to cover topics like choosing the material, scoring the script, venue preparation, and several other topics. So if you want more information about this, please, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. So let's get started. This episode is about choosing the best material to present. Now, there's a few questions you need to consider before you get started. The first is, are you going to be reading to people who already know your work, who are followers, who read your books on a regular basis? Because that's going to be different than somebody who doesn't have a following yet. Both are legitimate, just different choices. If you already have a following of people and you know they're coming to hear you, they're coming for a very specific reason, and that is to get to know you a little bit better. You're going to want to choose something that you know that they like, because that's what they want to hear. And then when they go home to read in their own home, they've got your voice that they're going to carry with them. You'll also want to consider giving them something that they haven't ever heard before, something new, something that's coming down the pike. So there's your considerations if you already have a following. If you do not have a following, the world is your oyster. You get to pick anything you want. And I can tell you from experience, I went to see a play, and it was a lot of time, trouble, and expense, but I wanted to see the play that the author had directed, and I tell you, I was not disappointed. So it makes a difference to a fan. I read the work differently now. When I see plays by this author again, directed by somebody else, I see it differently. So it does make a difference getting to know you in person. It's an important thing. So the goal here is to entice the audience to buy the book. So that's what we're working toward, and what things are going to engage an audience and other things that are not going to engage an audience. The best way to grab an audience in the first part of your reading is with action, verbs. Get something moving, something an audience can imagine, because that's what you're doing. You're asking them to engage with their imagination. Don't be surprised if some of your listeners close their eyes. I know I like to listen to audiobooks with my eyes closed because I can see it so clearly, especially when it's really well written, which I'm sure everybody out there is. So the best way to grab their attention is with verbs, action words, something happening. If you write thrillers, a car chase, a helicopter in pursuit, a dash of FBI agents into the house. If you write mysteries, finding the dead body, reviewing the crime scene, the argument between the family, something's going on to hold on to. If you write romance, then when their eyes met, the cute meet, whatever it is that you write, you want to give them a piece of your writing, right? You don't want to choose something out of the blue that would be off center from what you would normally write. So you get the idea about the opening. You're going to go on for about a third of the presentation with that, maybe not even that much. The midsection. Now you're going to spend a little more time here. That's going to breathe a little bit. You're going to be able to incorporate a little more information. But we want to know a little bit more about the story. Why is this happening? We want to know about the characters. We want to know a little about the plot. We want to know what the character is and what their plight is. What are their goals? What are their motivations? What is their heart's desire? And what's the obstacle that's going to keep them from it? All really important information, because that's what's going to engage me as a listener. Oh, I want to know who these people are. And if you're lucky enough, the audience is going to care about them, and then they're really going to want more of that information. So the last part could be the most important part, to tell you the truth. It's how you're going to leave the audience, and you want to leave them wanting more. That's just the thing. If you shut down and give them all the answers to the questions, then they don't need to buy your book, right? There's the goal. So your exit needs to end on a cliffhanger, a question, or a promise, because all of those things are open-ended. Are they going to get whatever? Is it going to happen? We don't know. That's where you want them to go. Don't answer the question. I can tell you, I've been to readings where authors do answer the question, and I don't need to buy the book because I'm not curious. Building curiosity and suspense is engaging for an audience. So that's what you're doing. Now I'm going to go over a few things that you don't want to do. Don't feel obligated to read from the first page, chapter 1. It's not necessary. If the best action scene and following all of this ideology, if the best starts in chapter 3, then choose your selection in chapter 3. It doesn't matter that the audience doesn't know what chapter 1 and 2 say. It's just going to build curiosity. How did they get there? Why did that happen? What's going on? That may help you in the end. But oftentimes people think, oh, I have to start with the first page. No, you do not. They will buy the book and they will read from the first page. That's what you can know. Please don't just flip open the book and run into the bookstore reading. It's not your best choice. It's not as engaging, and honestly, I don't feel well respected as an audience member if you are not taking the time to prepare your presentation. That's just a bottom line for me as an audience member, and I'm a good audience member. Let me tell you, I see a lot of shows, and I really do engage, and I will go anywhere that the actor or the author is taking me. The other thing is, don't start with the weather, the location, the time of day, the color of the sweater, the jawbone of your romantic lead. Don't start with any of that. It's not interesting enough to engage my attention. Exposition is not as engaging as an action scene or dialogue. Dialogue is even a good place to start. But it's not terribly fascinating to hear descriptors of things. All right. Those are the 3 things. Honestly, that's it. You want to start with action. You want to move into story, plot, conflict, and then you want to end on a cliffhanger, a question, or a promise. Well-rounded scene, beginning, middle, end. You've heard it 100 times, haven't you? I'm sure you have. And now, I'm going to read a scene to you so that you can hear exactly what it's like. Okay, I'm going to read the beginning of a short story by Daphne Mask called Heartbreak in High Gear. And this is an anthology, as you can see. Ripped out of her sleep by the horrid clang of the doorbell, Grace sat straight up and her stomach lurched. Groaning, she shook her head and wiped her face with her hands. Damn. Grace normally didn't take naps, didn't have time. Between kids and jobs and worrying about money, and she couldn't afford the luxury of an afternoon snooze. Today, however, she had the extremely exciting task of folding laundry, even though she desperately needed to close her eyes for just one smidge of a second. It must have happened somewhere between the sock sorting and the folding t-shirts that her exhaustion won the battle. She had unexpectedly drifted off into glorious oblivion before being rudely interrupted by some idiot at the door. Damn, she said, and staggered around the house for a moment. The doorbell rang again, louder, it seemed this time. The stinging sound rattled through her brain momentarily, rendering her stupid. If the kids were at home, they would have raced at breakneck pace to answer the door first. They had uncanny synchronicity and would have hit the door at the same time, and next, the obligatory argument about who got to pull the door open would have ensued. But the kids, by generosity of their neighbor Charlotte, were spending the day and evening out of the house. Grace had 2 jobs, and 3 days a week there was barely an hour and a half between the two. Charlotte offered to take the kids on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, which left Grace about 40 minutes to grab a snack for dinner and clean up before starting her evening work at a local craft barn. That was her life these days. There was no getting around the responsibilities she struggled to carry. Spending 40 hours a week as an office manager and 3 nights a week at a craft barn, followed by 1 weekend shift, it left her little time for anything else. The doorbell blasted again. "Coming!" she called out so loudly that she startled herself. "Oh shit," she grumbled under her breath. "What the hell do you want anyway?" Every Sunday, she and the kids had their Discovery Fun Day. They would find something for free for them to do in town and discover something new, have fun, the priority being fun and laughter, lots and lots of laughter. It was simple and uncomplicated. Oh, she longed for Sundays. The deafening ring of the doorbell sounded again. It sliced through her brain, leaving little patience. As she stumbled toward the front door, she could feel a piece of laundry, dish towels, and underwear sliding off one piece at a time, falling off her shoulder and leaving a trail across the carpet. Before she could get the door completely open, a young man's voice barked, "Are you Grace Anderson?" Yeah. She tried to focus on both the voice and the unfamiliar face. "This is for you. It's from the attorneys of Blacken and Thibault for Robert Anderson," he said as quickly as possible. Then he shoved an envelope toward her. Reacting instinctively, she took hold of it. Thanks, and happy Valentine's Day," he said, cringing. He turned and walked off. Her stomach flopped. She watched him until he disappeared on the horizon. Assaulted by nausea, she swallowed the anger. She'd just been served. What new tricks will Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde be demanding today? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Again, if you're interested in hearing the other 9 parts of this series, please subscribe. And I believe the book might be available in the fall of 2022. So take care. Until next time.